So let me continue this thing. Here we go, people. Looking at everyday human interactions, imagine how many times we cast spells on each other with our word. Over time, this interaction has become the worst form of black magic, and we call it gossip. Gossip is black magic at its very worst because it's pure poison. We learn how to gossip by agreement. When we were children, we heard the adults around us gossiping all the time, openly, giving their opinions about other people. They even had opinions about people they didn't know. Emotional poison was transferred along with the opinions, and we learned this as the normal way to communicate. Gossiping has become the main form of communication in human society. It has become the way we feel close to each other because it makes us feel better to see someone else feel as badly as we do. There is an old expression that says, misery likes company. When people who are suffering in hell don't want to be alone, fear and suffering are an important part of their dream of the planet. They are how the dream of the planet keeps us down. Using the analogy of human mind as a computer, because it can be compared to a computer virus. A computer virus is a piece of computer language written in the same language or the other codes are written in, but with a harmful intent. This code is inserted into the program of your computer when you least suspect it, and most of the time without your awareness. After this code has been introduced, your computer doesn't work quite right, or it doesn't function at all because the codes got mixed up with so many conflicting messages that it stops producing good results. Human gossip works exactly the same way. For example, you are beginning a new class with a new teacher and you have looked forward to it for a long time. On the first day of class, you run into someone who took the class before you who tells you, "Oh, that instructor was such a pompous jerk. He didn't know what he was talking about and he was a pervert too, so watch out." You immediately imprinted with the word and emotional code that the person had and when saying this. But what you are not aware of is his or her motivation in telling you. This person could be angry for failing the class or simply making an assumption based on fears and prejudices. But because you have learned to ingest information like a child, some part of you believe the gossip and you go on to the class. As the teacher speaks, you feel the poison come up inside you. You don't realize you see the teacher through the eyes of the person who gave you the gossip. Then you start talking to the other people in the class about this, and they start to see the teacher in the same way as a jerk, a pervert. You really hate the class, and soon you decide to drop out. You blame the teacher, but it is the gossip that is to blame. All of this mess can be caused by one little computer virus. One little piece of misinformation can break down communication between people, causing every person it touches to become infected and contagious to others. Imagine that every single time others gossip to you, they insert a computer virus into your mind, causing you to think a little less clearly every time. Then imagine that in an effort to clean up your own confusion and get some relief from the poison, you gossip and spread these viruses to someone else. Now imagine this pattern going on in a never-ending chain between all humans on the earth. The result is a world full of humans can only read information through circuits that are clogged with a poisonous contagious virus. Once again, this poisonous virus is that the Toltecs called the mito, the chaos of 1,000 different voices all trying to talk at once in your mind. Even worse are the black magicians of computer hackers, or computer hackers who intentionally spread viruses. Think back to a time when you or someone you know was angry with someone else and desired revenge. In order to seek revenge, you said something to or about that person with the intention of spreading poison and making that person feel bad about him or herself. As children, we do this quite thoughtlessly. But as we grow older, we become much more calculated in our efforts to bring other people down. Then we lie to ourselves and say that person received a just punishment for their wrongdoing. When we see the world through a computer virus, it is easy to justify the cruelest behavior. What we don't see is that misuse of our word is putting us into a deeper hell. For years, we have received the gossip and spells from the words of others, but also from the way we use our word with ourselves. We talk to ourselves constantly, and most of the time we say things like, "Oh, I look fat. I look ugly. I'm getting old. I'm losing my hair. I'm stupid. I never understand anything. I will never be good enough, and I'm never going to be perfect." Do you see how we use the word against ourselves? We must begin to understand that the word is and what the word does. If you understand the first agreement, be impeccable with your word. You begin to see all the changes that can happen in your life. Changes first in the way you deal with yourself, and later in the way you deal with other people, especially those you love the most. Consider how many times you have gossiped about the person you love the most to gain the support of others for your point of view. How many times have you hooked other people's attention and spread poison about your loved one in order to make your opinion right? Your opinion is nothing but your point of view. It is not necessarily true. Your opinion comes from your beliefs, your own ego, and your dream. We create all this poison and spread it to others just so we can feel right about our own point of view. If we adopt the first agreement and become impeccable with our word, any emotional poison will eventually be cleaned from our mind and from our communication in our personal relationship, including with our pet dog or our cat. Impeccability of the word will also give you immunity from anyone putting a negative spell on you. You will only receive a negative idea if your mind is fertile ground for the idea. When you become impeccable with your word, your mind is no longer fertile ground for words that come from black magic. Instead, it is fertile for the words that come from love. You can measure the impeccability of your word by your level of self-love. How much you love yourself and how you feel about yourself are directly proportionate to the quality and integrity of your word. When you are impeccable with your word, you feel good, you feel happy, at peace. You can transcend the dream of hell just by making an agreement to be impeccable with your word. Right now, I am planting the seed in your mind. Whether or not the seed grows depends on how fertile your mind is for the seeds of love. It is up to you to make this agreement with yourself. I am impeccable with my word. Nurture this seed, and as it grows in your mind, it will generate more seeds of love to replace the seeds of fear. The first agreement will change the kind of seeds your mind is fertile for. Be impeccable with your word. This is the first agreement that you should make. If you want to be free, if you want to be happy, if you want to transcend the level of existence that is hell, it is very powerful. Use the word in the correct way. Use the word to share your love. Use a lighter magic beginning with yourself. Tell yourself how wonderful you are, how great you are. Tell yourself how much you love yourself. Use the word to break all those teeny tiny agreements that make you suffer. It is possible. It is possible. It is possible because I did it, and I am no better than you. No, we are exactly the same. We have the same kind of brain, the same kind of bodies. We are humans. If I was able to break those agreements and create new agreements, then you can do the same. If I can be impeccable with my word, why not you? Just this one agreement can change your whole life. Impeccability of the word can lead you to personal freedom, to huge success, abundance. It can take away all the fear and transform it into love and joy. Just imagine what you can create with impeccability of word. With the impeccability of the word, you can transcend the dream of fear and live a different life. You can live in heaven in the middle of thousands of people living in hell because you are immune to that hell. You can attain the kingdom of heaven from this one agreement. Be impeccable with your word. So, sorry for the long thing, people. But yeah, it's important. Be impeccable with your word. Impeccability without sin. Talk truth. You understand? So,